Hello, everybody. My name is Jim Farmer. I'm the festival director of Out on Film, Atlanta's LGBTQ Film Festival. This is our 37th year of programming. We have some amazing films this year. As always, our short films are remarkable. I'm so happy to have this many shorts programs, and I'm happy to talk to some of our filmmakers today. This program is Everything on the Rainbow. Um, and let's talk to some of our filmmakers. Why don't we sort of go around the room, introduce yourself, and then talk about your film. Then we'll ask a few questions. Let's start with you, Krit.
Oh, I'm Kimkrichwarakool, and I'm the director and writer of Auganic. And Auganic is about a couple who deal with this anomaly that they find out in the bedroom and how
Mhm.
they navigate through that weird situation.
Okay, great. Jess.
Hi, I'm Jess. I directed and co-wrote DTF, which
Okay.
is a romantic comedy about a man on a absolute grinder bender who then ends up on a date with his old English professor.
Mhm.
Antics ensue.
Okay, great. Austin.
So I'm the director of Into the Blue. It's a short documentary about a drag queen who I know very well. Her name is Laguna Blue,
Mhm.
and she had a very traumatic upbringing in the South with conservative parents, and
Yeah,
um, tragically, both of her parents died. But through that, it was kind of a bittersweet release and really allowed her to embrace who she is today. And there were good things to their death and bad things about it too, but overall it's very she comes out on top. So
great, great.
yeah.
Ash.
I'm Ash. I'm the producer and writer of Realness. Our director couldn't make it today. It is a short film about a teenage boy who's stuck living with his conservative father and
Mhm.
discovers drag as a way to like express himself and finally stand up for himself.
Great. And Amy.
Hi everyone, I'm Amy. I'm the writer and director of Three. It is a short film about a Chinese woman who recently moved to the United States to live with her daughter, trying to hide but also keep her daughter's secrets away, protected from the church friends who are having a party at their house.
Okay, great. We're so honored to have all of your films. Let's do the same rotation. Where are you right now in your festival run? We'll start with Krit.
I guess we're in the middle of our film festival run. We had a few festival already this year in Palm Spring in Los Angeles earlier this summer, and we also won an Academy Award qualified at Dead Center, which is like a big deal for us. So
Yeah,
just want
congratulations.
thank you.
Great. Jess.
Okay, Out on Film was our premiere. This is so exciting. Very exciting. And we have two more festivals coming up, but that they just haven't been publicly announced, so I can't say yet.
Okay. All right, great. Austin.
Out on Film is our premiere as well. So very
Yay.
excited, very excited.
We're very excited as well. Ash.
Yeah, same here. This Out on Film is the premiere for our film,
Good. I'm,
and
I'm
it's
so
the
happy.
start of our festival.
Oh, great. I'm so, and Amy.
Uh, so we are also in the middle of the festival run.
Mhm.
We premiered at Cannes in La Cinef this
Yeah.
year, and have been playing. We played at more than 20 festivals so far, and then looking for another. I don't know, just keeps it going, and we show it at more places.
That's great. Again, this is such a strong, um, program of short films, and thank you all so much for contributing to this. This is called a rainbow short collection because literally it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But I think one of the things that all these films have in common is that they have really centered three-dimensional subjects. Can you sort of talk about, the subjects of your film and getting, and portraying that and doing so, being able to do so well in, a condensed amount of time? Again, we'll start with Krit.
So I don't want to say if it's a spoiler. Maybe it would just talk about the film because I feel like that's like the theme
Yeah.
of the film. So
I think, having seen the film, I think there is a spoiler you probably don't want to give away.
I think it's fine. I can't talk about the film without mentioning it. So the idea of the organic, it's about a guy who ejaculates gold, and
Okay.
that's how the story began, and why this idea came up. I don't particularly know. I have a lot of like weird dreams, and I would just write it on my dream journal, and that's where it came from. But the inspiration of like how this story takes place is it is about how these two learns to compromise within their relationship and compromising their artistic value for their relationship. So
Mm.
it came to me during the pandemic where I felt like a lot of people have to like take any job that they can get, including myself. Like a lot of things weren't happening, like film was shutting down, like a lot of like people were losing money during pandemic. And I think that's where the idea came from. I also had like some medical issue as well, and that's where the medical aspect of this film came from. I felt like whenever I go to the doctor office, it's always like very vulnerable, but also embarrassing at the same time. And the doctors usually would just not react to it, and it just felt like a deadpan comedy to me. So that's where I combined the two ideas together.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I'll just move on before I talk too much.
Yes.
Yeah, I think for DTF, we have two leads who are from really different perspectives. The main character is in his 20s. He's, been out basically since birth. He is very proud of his sexuality and is having sex a lot. And then the English professor character is very recently out and not as proud. And I think the ways in which they connect, both of them have to become quite vulnerable with each other and very open with each other. And I think part of why I loved Sam's story, Sam is the lead and also the co-writer, was just like he has a lot of love and respect for both of these people, where they're at in their journeys. And I think that the movie, although beginning with a sex montage, is actually quite wholesome. And I think that there is a lot of queer joy in it. And it's very joyful and very full of love, which I love.
Yay. Queer joy. Yay. Austin.
Yeah, I mean, my protagonist, Laguna, is very dimensional. We knew each other for a few years leading up to filming the documentary. Weren't terribly close, but we had worked together a bunch, so there was a level of comfortability in the offset. And she's also kind of the person who just loves to be vulnerable. I mean, like I got very lucky as a director because like I would ask her one question and she just like trauma dump all of it on camera for me. But she also grew up in the South and, went to church every Sunday. And I was talking to her, I was like, you're such a good storyteller. And she was like, growing up in the church, we had a pastor who gave really great homilies. And she said that she learned storytelling just by watching him every Sunday. So that combined with kind of our, prerequisite of like knowing each other really led to her being vulnerable in ways that, I mean, up until we were doing the film, she hadn't been with herself. So a lot of it is like her coming to terms in the moment on camera, which is really exciting.
Okay. Ash.
So for our film, we were restricted to like 5 minutes, a certain dialogue cap. So it was really important for us to get an actor. We got Jacob, who had done drag before and was comfortable with dance, because we needed in a short amount of time to be able to show this transformation, and like through montage, really emphasize the visual aspect of drag and the difference in the transformation of this character before he started to lean into his community versus after.
Okay. Amy.
Yeah, so the film is partially inspired by personal experience, and it is about community. It is about what's coming out like in an Asian immigrant family, but I feel like a lot of the coming out story, but also personal experience, these moments are always infused with pain and anger and a lot of misunderstanding. So I think in my film, I'm trying to imagine a different scenario where acceptance, although in a very muted and quiet way, can happen. And also, I'm trying to bring more hope in this kind of mother-daughter relationship where maybe misunderstanding and generational difference stands in a way, but maybe love can surpass many things. And yeah, so I'm trying to envision a different kind of relationship that could happen.
Okay, great. And my final question. Can all of you talk about the importance of queer representation in your work? Again, we'll start with Krit.
Yeah, so the reason that like I wanted to do this film as an LGBTQ, well, one reason is that I am a gay man myself, but also I feel like a lot of LGBTQ films or stories that is out there is focusing on a lot of darkness, a lot of trauma, a lot of like something that's like our is a struggle within our relationship, within our community. But while I think that is very important to get it out there as well, I felt like we could use a little bit more of like the light side, and that's where I wanted to take this film on like a lighter journey for these characters and take. I think my main inspiration is to take queer stories to as many genre as possible, and right now I'm just really obsessed with magical realism, and that's where Auganic is.
Jess.
I have a very similar answer. I think, yeah, I wanted something really joyful, something really full of love. And also, I think the representation of having more queer rom-coms is a genre I've always been obsessed with, but I haven't really seen myself reflected in many of those. And I know that Sam and Garfield, our two leads, feel similarly. So I think what was important and why we made this movie queer is because it's very honest about the experience that gay men have on Grindr or that some gay men have on Grindr, and how, shallow it can be, but then also how beautiful it can be. And it's just very fun and full of love.
Nice. Austin.
The importance of queer representation. I mean, unless you see it, you don't know what's possible for you.
Mhm.
And I like what you mentioned earlier, Krit, about, a lot of our stories just being like depressing. And my film certainly has that element, but what I love about it is that there's triumph at the end. And I just love that we represent her past, it's traumatic and everything, but we also show, that there's a possibility for a happy ending. So more stories like that for us, I think, just to show that that's a possibility.
Ash.
Obviously, the importance of watching queer stories, but also for those who work on the stories, this was one of the first films I've worked on that I had a lot larger role that was about a queer story and featured a queer crew. And I feel like that sense of community needs to exist and those spaces need to exist for filmmakers because it's very not queer dominated space right now. So I feel like being able to have that represented in our crew and then in our film itself was hugely important.
And Amy.
Yeah, I think definitely the importance of representation, as we've all learned, like just seeing the increasing number of films, queer films in cinema has been really exciting progress in the past 10 years. And each year there are exciting queer films. And I think that has shifted how I see my own relationship, but also how I see my filmmaking. And I think all of my films are coming from a personal space and they exist in the way because who I am. So I just want to continue to be able to show how I personally am experiencing the world and experiencing the relationship around me. through a queer lens.
Okay, great. Auganic, DTF, Into the Blue, Realness, and 3 are some of the great films you can see as part of this Everything on the Rainbow short program. Many of these films are also available for streaming as well. Krit, Jess, Austin, Ash, Amy, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. It's such a pleasure and honor having your films as part of our lineup this year. And we look forward to the screenings and I hope to meet many of you at the festival this year. Thank you all so much.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
for having
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you so much. I'll let you know when this is
Thank
posted.
you.